Live. Let's share this to WhatsApp. Okay. All right. So, everybody have the Gemara sheet? There's actually an extra Gemara sheet if somebody needs one. It's over here, on the back of one of your pages, if you have two.
So you use
The back of that one. There you go. Okay. So we're taking a look at the Gemara in Sanhedrin right now. Hi, Andrew. Taking a look at the Gemara in Sanhedrin. We're on Ayin Aleph Hamad Aleph. I know you can't see the number at the top of the page, but you have to trust me that it's Ayin Aleph. We've actually done already. I think we did Samach Ted. We did Ayin. Now we're doing Ayin Aleph. I think we already did Ayin Bet. So we're kind of out of order. But this is Ayin Aleph. We're actually going to only do one side. I think that's all we're going to have time for today. Ayin Aleph Hamad Aleph. And we're in the Mishnah. We're going to do two Mishnayot. The Mishnah is like the second to last thin line. Everybody see it? It says Ganav Mishal Aviv. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're continuing in the sugya of Ben Tzora Umoreh, which is the name of the parak. And this is the last few Mishnayot that deal with Ben Tzora Umoreh before we go into Baba Machteret, which we already did. And it says as follows. Ganenu nasa Ben Tzora Umoreh ad sheyignov mishal aviv v'yochal b'reshut acherim. So we've already seen how delicate the din of Ben Tzora Umoreh is, and how most cases will not be a Ben Tzora Umoreh, no matter what the child does. If the child is not the right age, if the child, it depends on what the child ate, how much of it he ate, in what context, who was there when he was eating it, what they were doing while he was eating it. All these things matter. And now we're about to find another thing that matters. Where did he get the food? The Commissioner says that if he stole the food, or the money for the food, to be more specific, he stole the money for the food from his father's house, and then ate it in his father's house, or if he stole the money from someone else, a random person, somebody outside the yishuv, and then he ate it outside the yishuv, he didn't eat it in his own house, then in both of those cases, he's not a Ben Tzora Umoreh. The only case where he's a Ben Tzora Umoreh is when he stole it from his father, and he eats it outside the yishuv. Okay, so he steals it from his father's house, and then he leaves Ranana, and he goes and he eats it in Tel Aviv. He takes the money and he goes to Mike's place. That's in Yerushalayim, right? He goes somewhere else. He goes to Mike's place in Tel Aviv. Goes to Mike's place, and he goes and he buys himself some tartamar of Italian meat and wine, and that's what he does. That's the only circumstance where he's going to be chayav. Gemara is going to try to figure out why this is. That's what the Mishnah says. Then the Mishnah continues and says another rule. Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda, Omer ad sheyignov mishal aviv u misharimo. Rabbi Yehuda says that in order to be chayav, he has to steal it from money which is somehow belonging, or he has to steal from both his mother and his father. He has to steal from both of them somehow. Okay? So, start the Gemara. Ganav mishaviv v'achal b'reshut aviv afagav deshchiach le bait. Okay. Why is it not good enough to steal from your father and then eat in your father's house? Sounds like it's pretty bad, no? Sounds like it's the worst thing you could do. So the answer is because after stealing from your father, which is something that is easy to do, right? Stealing from somebody's father is the easiest thing to do. You always have access to that money. However, when you eat it in the house, you're embarrassed. And so he might be willing to do it once, but he's not willing to continue along this path. That's what Rashi says on the last wide line at the top. Which is a concept that we've already seen in previous shiurim. Mimshech is he won't become addicted, he won't become used to it. In order for somebody to become a Ben Tzora Umoreh, he has to engage in activity which is sustainable, something that he will continue to do. Does anybody remember the other conditions where we saw that was the case? Where if it was something that he's unlikely to continue to do, then he's not a Ben to the meat, and also how good the meat was. Yeah. Right? If the meat is not very good, then it won't catch. Or if it's too expensive, and it's too much of a bother, you can't rob a bank every time you want to have a meal. So if that's what you're used to 2,000 shekel steaks, then you're not going to become a Ben Tzora Umoreh from that, because it's just not practical. It's not cost effective. But if you get used to father's home because it's too embarrassing. It's too much of a hassle. He keeps looking at you. He knows that you stole his money, and it's embarrassing.
How can you steal something in your father's house without taking it out the house? Surely, as long as it's in the house, it's still in your
No, it means you're
father's
eating.
resource.
You're eating in the house. In other words, you stole from your father. Let's say you went to the store, you bought a steak, and then you went home and you're eating it in the dining
So
room.
you didn't take the steak from the house.
No,
Okay.
So you
bought the steak somewhere else.
we're gonna see.
Because then you couldn't. Can you steal from your father without taking it out the house? As long as in the house, it's still his reshut and still belongs to him.
You can still steal. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, how are you gonna? Yeah, you can still
How,
steal.
how do you demonstrate that you've stolen it?
I mean, if you're stealing food, then it's unlikely because his food is kind of your food.
Yeah.
Right, but
Yeah.
but his money is not your money. So
And
you're right. You would have to leave the house to buy
Yeah,
something and then come back.
Another
How
thing,
can you not?
how can you steal from your mother? How can a mother have money that's
Very good. Very good. So hold off on
But
that
if,
thought.
if we're talking about a 13-year-old, he's usually eating in his parents' home anyway, and they are somehow responsible for him.
That's right.
So
But here he went and he stole.
Where does the stealing come in?
He goes into the wallet. He goes into the bedroom. He sneaks into his father's wallet. He takes. 300 shekel,
Then it's only if it's
and he walks out.
Only his saving and forward,
We're gonna
not-
see whether it's only
not-
money.
not
Yeah.
the
No.
product itself.
I also have another question, further to what Pinchas just said. You know, we were talking about, a 13-year-old kid or something like that. I don't think there's an age given here.
Right, so in previous show we saw that it's between 13 and 13 and a half, basically.
Oh,
He
okay.
has to be 13 and about 13 and 3 months, I think, if I remember correctly.
So,
It's a very small window.
okay.
So again, even though it's easy for him because the money is available, but he'll be scared. Why is he not going to be a mitzvah Umoreh if he steals from others and eats and eats outside of his house?
It's too difficult.
For the opposite reason. It's that he has no problem with it from a embarrassment perspective because he doesn't know anybody, but it's hard. In other words, you have to break into people's homes. It's much easier to just sneak into in the bedroom and take money from over there. So it's unlikely he's going to continue in his life of crime if it entails breaking and entering all the time.
Well, why is this part of Ben Umoreh? He's just a thief.
The idea is that we're not worried about what he's done now, right? We know that. What he's done now is not punishable by death. What we're worried is what he's going to become. So it very much interests us that the conditions that are being created right now are conditions which will be sustainable, which means it has to be something that he's happy to continue doing, and it has to be something that is easy to continue
Something
doing.
he has to do to his parents.
No, he's not doing it to his
You
parents.
just know, you
He's
can
stealing.
become Ben Umoreh from stealing from
Yeah,
people.
yes, in theory. But what the Gemara is teaching us is only stealing from your parents, but specifically because it's easy to steal from your parents. Not because you've done something to your parents.
Well, your parents will notice when your father goes back to his wallet that 300 shekel is
You
missing.
may not. Now,
But the theft here is specifically related to food.
in the end, he has to eat, and we actually saw different Mishnayot that described what he eats. It has to be good quality meat, and it has to be wine, good quality wine, but not too good quality.
So in theory, even if he steals from his parents and he goes out,
No,
parents will still
and he goes in and buys a car.
and he buys food. No,
Right.
they're still are responsible for feeding. Well, I think when he's eating at home, we're saying it's not.
It's not.
Because he'll have busha.
Yes.
But on the flip side, the person is the parents are still responsible for feeding.
Right.
If he steals at home and goes out, then he's not eating portions of food. But
No, that's exactly what he's going to be chayav. If he steals at home,
yeah.
and then he goes and eats out. Because then he's got both. It's easy for him to do it, and he's not going to be embarrassed when he goes to do it at the end. So that's the sweet spot, right? That's what we're going for. That's the Mishnah.
I'm saying that if he steals, right, the parents don't have to outlay the money
So,
for the food that he would have eaten in any case. So maybe he's eating slightly better quality food.
the point isn't whether or not the parents lost any money. That's not the point. The point is he started a life of crime. And that's what we're concerned with.
I can see it much, it just seems more logical because part of the life of crime is stealing from
But what the
parents.
Gemara is suggesting is that no, because it's hard to do breaking and entering all the time. It's unlikely that at this age, he may do it once for a chavaya, but is he going to continue to do it? Now, maybe.
That's the whole point.
He might.
That's
But
the whole point.
what?
Because Ben Umoreh is because we're afraid that you're going to get used to it.
Right. So you need a gateway. You need a gateway drug. That's the point. The Gemara is very concerned with
Stealing
the
from
gateway.
others and eating other places is not the gateway.
No, because it's too hard. It's too much of a hassle to steal from others. That's the point. Okay? It's not Chicago inner city over here. Right? It's
Or flat.
Narda and, you know. So exactly that's how the Gemara concludes. It says, obviously, by the way, the culture can be shalachem b'achal b'shut aviv. If he does exact opposite, if he steals from others and eats in his father's house, then obviously, lo shchiach lehu bait. That for sure not. So ad she'ignov mishal aviv yochal b'shut acherim d'shchiach lehu lo bait. It has to be that he steals from home and he eats out, because then it's easy for him to continue and he's not embarrassed when he ends up eating. So that's the conclusion. Now the second half, and this is going to point out what Rabbi very astutely pointed out. Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda, Omer, Achi, Gno, Mishal Aviv, Mishal Imo. The second din was that he stole from his father and his mother. The Gemara says, wait a second. Imo, Minala. How does she have
Money.
any money? How does his mother have any money?
She bought from home.
But it doesn't matter. All her money, frankly, belongs to her husband. That's the way these things work.
Used to work.
That's the way things work. Technically, it's how they still work, but it's you know. But what it means is halachically, that's how they work. Now,
But it's
there is
not-
an easy answer to this question.
But look, it's not uncommon for.
Say Milog or whatever.
Yes, that's one possibility, but there's an easier answer to the question. How could a woman end up having money and still be the mother of a child, and she doesn't have to worry about her husband owning her money? She could be divorced. She could be divorced. If the parents were divorced, then he could steal from both his father and his mother, and the money will belong to his mother, right? So there seems to be an assumption that that's not the case over here, and we're going to see a little bit later. We'll see that that's a pretty decent assumption. Why that might be, maybe if they're divorced, he can't be a ben or a mora. We'll see why maybe that might be the case later, or it may be that the Gemara just didn't want to give that answer.
Chasim, which can remain the property of
That's
the,
what,
of
yeah, the nechsei malog, nechsei tzon barzel, yeah, but I don't think she has access to those things right
Miluk the
now.
opposite. Miluk is her assets and he gets the fruit of.
Right, nechsei tzon barzel, I think, is what she retains,
Barzel is what she
but I don't think she can do anything with it until after, I think, if I remember correctly. Anyways, I think it like, it goes into like a trust, like, as long as she's married, nobody can do anything, but then after she gets divorced, she gets to get it back, I think. So-
There's also a way that he doesn't have to support her, and she can.
Ah.
If she work that.
So you're going in the right direction. So the Gemara says it's going to give a couple of possibilities. The first possibility it says is, it says imo min Allah mashikanta isha kanabala. That's the rule. Whatever the woman acquires, the husband acquires. So how can she have anything? Am Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Chanina misuda hamuchenet la'aviv uleimo. So what did he do? He stole food. He went into the kitchen, right? And he saw that it's their anniversary, right? And the husband has prepared a steak dinner for him and his wife, and it's for both of them. They're both going to be eating it. You can't say it doesn't belong to her. It's hers. It's not his. She's not eating his food. And so he goes in and he steals the steak. And then he runs out of Ranana, he runs to Tel Aviv, and he goes eat it at his friend's house. Boom. Got it. Fathers and mothers. Does that work? So the Gemara says, no, that doesn't work. Why? Because V'hama Rabbi Chanan bar Mulda Amar Rav Huna Eino chayav ad sheyikna basar bezol v'yochal yayin bezol v'yishteh. No, because he's not going to be chayav until he acquires meat for cheap and he drinks wine for cheap v'yishteh. Ela midmei sud. Why does that ruin everything? Because what does it say? Adshe yikneh. Adshe yikneh means that there is such a situation, not that it necessarily has to be that way, but there is a situation where he buys food and drink, and it has to be food and drink it has to be with the money that belongs both to the mother and the father. That was Rabbi Yehuda's, Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda's condition.
And if he
So-
stole the steak, sold it at the market because it's a good steak, and then used the money to buy cheap food.
I don't know, but it seems like they're trying to keep things simple. They're trying to say that no, there's a situation where he steals money from the mother and the father, and then he goes and he buys meat, and that's how he acquires the meat. Okay? So then that throws that one out of the water. So now we have to go back to a situation where we have the mother actually owning money. There's going to be two answers to this question. One answer is it's a modification of the previous answer. It's not the actual food that was prepared, but it's from the money that was set aside. There's a chiddush because it was basically saying that even though it's money, since half of it's going to be used for the mother's meal, it's considered hers. Okay, so it's a little bit of a stretch in terms of, if we look at this very, very technically, but nevertheless, the Gemara thinks that that is an acceptable answer, that it belongs to her because it's going to be used to buy her food. And then finally, the second answer, V'baytema, Ta'akni la acher, V'amala almanat she'ein leba'alech reshut bahen. How did she get money? Because someone went over to her and said, I'm giving you now 100 shekel, but it belongs to you, and it cannot belong to your husband. I'm giving it to you on condition that it goes directly to you and does not go to your husband.
Is that allowed?
Apparently, the Gemara is assuming that that works.
Okay.
Take a look at Rashi. I believe. Rashi... No? Is it there?
Yeah.
Where?
By the number
Yeah.
two.
Look, if you don't say that, then the Baal definitely gets it. Oh, by the way, we should read the previous Rashi. He explains a little bit how the previous answer works, right? Midmei suda hamuchenet, shayu ma'ot muchanim liknot me'am suda. There was money that was prepared for buying the food, lavi b'limo, their anniversary. T'keven delkach nizdamnu mishal imo karinen behu. It's called hers. Why though? There is a reason. Right? Why? Because why does the husband get all of her money? How does that work? Because he is chayav to give her sustenance. So it's almost as if to say that there's money set aside for him and for her, but that money that's set aside from her, it's really hers because it's going to be used to buy food, which means it's her money. So it's almost like this idea that any money that's set aside to buy the wife food is her money.
Some of it.
That whatever's going to be used for her is hers because it belongs to her. That's the deal she made. She made a deal with him that you take care of me and you can have my any money that I get from work that I do or that people give to me or that I find. That's how it works. They have a deal. So according to the deal, it's her money. That's the first answer. Second answer is that there's some kind of a way that you can make a t'nai such that the money will not go to the husband. This is a big chiddush, no? That idea.
Sounds kind of like.
Well, it's only Rabbi. It's Rabbi Yossi. It's not a Chachamim opinion. It might be Rabbi Yossi's opinion.
Good. So if you take a look at Tosfos before we go to the sheet, we're going to go directly to the source sheet in a second. If you take a look at Tosfos, he says, "Sukya zu kirav sheshet the perakam de kedushin the amar leRabbanan ahani le t'nai." Yeah, this is according to Rav Sheshet, who says that this kind of t'nai will work. Aval Rabbi Eliezer Svirle dafilu ki agav, not even like this. Ein kinyan le'eved below Rabbo. A parallel case to the case with the woman is if you try to give money to a slave, it will go automatically to the master, right? That I don't want to make any people making any actual connections between those two cases, but they are similar cases in this sense. And so he says, according to Rav Sheshet, it works. According to Rabbi Eliezer, it doesn't work. Ein kinyan le'eved below Rabbo, ve'en kinyan le'isha below Bala. Mikol makol madnitin lo tikshet dahava mishani b'dmei seuda hamuchenet le'imo. Says it gives that as one answer. Inami Rabbi Eliezer hava moki la b'shana. Or Rabbi Eliezer, in other words, the way to read this Gemara is one answer, which is good according to everybody, is that it's money that was going to be used for a meal that was going to be for both of them. And another answer is maybe the Mishnah is according to Rabbi Eliezer, according to Rav Sheshet, did it say? According to Rav Sheshet, Rabbi Eliezer hava moki la b'shanatan la bala. That's Rabbi Elazar, not Rabbi Eliezer. Confusing, I know. That's Rabbi Elazar, who holds like Rav Sheshet, I guess. B'shanatan la bala da Rabbi Elazar who da amr b'cheskas abatim echad v'echad kanta ve'ena bal ochal perik. Okay, either way, Tosafot seems to be saying very similar to what Rabbi is saying, which is that maybe we don't pass like this Gemara. It's okay that the Gemara should say this as an answer in the Mishnah, but maybe it's not the final conclusion of Shas necessarily. However, if you look at the sheets, and Usher, you're going to have to look at it with me. We're going to do the next Mishnah and Gemara as well, but since we're already here, might as well take a break from the Gemara. And he took a look at the Yad Ramah. That's Rav Meir Abu Lafia. We only have his commentary on a full commentary on Sanhedrin, and some on Baba Batra, and we have some of his letters that he wrote. Rav Abu Lafia lived in Spain. He was an early Rishon, so somebody's Rabbi that I don't remember. Oh, okay. Yad Ramah. So he wrote as follows. He says, and this statement is quoted. He lived before the Ramban and his Rishonim. He says, "Miha from here, Shaminan demand akni midi leitata amanat shein lebal reshut havya hakna." Rabbi Ramah says we can learn from here that if a man gives something to a wife, to somebody's wife, amanat, it doesn't go to the husband, then that works. So Rabbi Ramah sees it as a credit. Somebody who owes money. So in other words, let's say Rashi owed money to Pinchas, and Rashi's out of money. He's scrounging around to find him to pay Pinchas back. And I say, listen, Rashi, I'm going to give you 100 shekel, but on condition it doesn't go to Pinchas. Because we're in Brogas, and I don't want Pinchas to have that money. I want to go directly to you, Rashi, because I like you. Okay. Does that work? It seems surprising that it should work. It should be that anything Rashi acquires, Pinchas has a lien on Rashi's money. Anything I give Rashi should go to Pinchas. But apparently, Rabbi Abu Lafia says over here that works. That Tanai works. Same thing. A Tanai like this overrides the Shibud. Big Chiddush. Now do we pass it like this? Guess what? Take a look at the Shulchan Aruch on the left side. A person gives a gift to somebody almanat that the husband doesn't get, or the husband or the Baal doesn't get reshut. Kana Baal, varehi kishar Ela im kain hitne hanotin beguf hamatana. If you give a proper matana, the proper tanai, and you say it should go to you, Kagon Shiyom Allah, for example, Harei Amot Netunin Lach Al Menachet Til B'Shibem or Menachet Tasi Mashet Tirtzi Below Rishut Habal. It works. If you make such a tanai, it will work. What's in the Schweppes? Which kind of Schweppes is that? Peach. I'll take some of it, please. Thank you.
Is that just with a woman, or is it also with a slave and a child?
Also with the slave and the child, also with the creditor, yeah. It says Chut Adon V'Habal. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. Here it's with the woman, but it also is with the slave and everything. Yeah.
Okay. Shulchan doesn't say explicitly.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
It doesn't because it's Avad Ezer. It's talking about a woman and a husband.
Going back to what you said before, how it's okay for give somebody money, I'll tonight. Okay, as long as you don't give it to, I guess in this case, Pinchas.
Right.
What would happen? Say I did give it to Pinchas.
Good question.
Am I chayav something? Did I do something wrong? That I
think that the gift would have to go back to the original owner.
Like in other words, I violated a contract.
The guy can come to Pinchas and say, "That's my money. You have to give it back." That's what happened.
I haven't know.
No, you did something wrong.
You don't know you can't get it back.
Yeah.
I mean, this whole thing, it sounds very dodgy, if you want to know.
It's not. With things like this, well, actually, no. I mean, this could really happen. This could easily happen. This is a real case. But yeah, it's a way of giving to somebody that you don't want them to look. Let's think. You can easily think of a real situation. You have the wife's mother, right? The wife's father, rather. The wife's father wants to give a gift to her daughter. His daughter doesn't like the husband. He knows that he gives the money properly to his daughter. She's going to give it to her husband. He doesn't like the husband, so he wants his daughter to benefit from it. So he gives the gift and says, "I want you to keep it."
But everything the daughter has, money-wise, belongs to the husband.
So the point is, apparently over here, there's a chiddush that the Tanai works. You're right. We still have to figure out why, right? We still have to figure out why. But that's the chiddush that Rav Meir Abu Lafia says that Tosfos doesn't seem to agree with, right? Not all the Rishonim agree with this. The Shulchan Aruch seems to pass like this. Yad Ramah.
No, Tosfos didn't say doesn't disagree with it.
He said
it's
he says our Gemara is not like that Gemara,
okay.
And it sounds like he's uncomfortable with this Gemara.
Surely this comes up elsewhere. I mean, it's quite a fundamental principle in terms of.
It does. Tosfos told you where it came up. Yeah, it comes up in other places. Now, two late Achronim, right? You have the Avnei Miluim. Avnei Miluim wrote another famous work that you probably have heard of.
Where did
If
he
you haven't
live?
heard of Avnei Miluim. He wrote the sefer called the Ksot HaChoshen. Right? You probably heard on Ezekiel. Yeah, the Ksos, as well as the Shev Shmais, I believe. Unless it's the Shach, but I think it's the Ksos. I think his name is Aryeh Friedman, I believe, but I could be mistaken. If somebody wants to look that up, they can. The Ksos' name, I think it's Aryeh Friedman. It's wasted on me, and
That's for me.
whiskey is flowing.
Anybody else would like a glass of whiskey?
We'd like a dog.
If you're listening on YouTube, you should have whiskey right now, along with everybody else. L'chaim.
It's your birthday.
L'chaim.
Mazel
It's my
tov.
birthday. Yeah, thank you.
Mazel tov.
Yesterday, but thank you. Heller, Aryeh Heller. Aryeh Lebekon Heller.
Anybody not want whiskey?
And Andrew's mother's 91st birthday.
Really?
It was last
Andrew,
week.
it's your mother's 95th
What a year that
birthday?
was for the British.
97.
David just
Sorry,
said.
97.
When was it?
Last Shabbat.
Friday. Oh, mine was on Sunday. Beautiful. January 11th.
Yeah.
Very nice. Okay, so let's take a look. There's two answers that we have over here. Very interesting answers. Anybody want to try to take a stab at it before we look at the answers? How would this work? Why would this work? If you're listening on YouTube, you can try to chat and put in an answer if you want.
My guess is that anybody is permitted to make a contract. It's like, I mean, at the end of and
But isn't there already a contract between the wife and the husband?
yes, but sometimes certain things do override it. She has a right. She doesn't. She's not his slave.
That's true.
She's not in
To
a.
do with the wife, it has to do with the person who gave it. He gave
Yeah.
it.
But it does have to do
Al
with the wife.
Tnai that
So I
someone
can't
will-
give you something al Tanai that you are a woman. I mean, that's as in,
No,
so I
I
can't give
can
this
give
al
you-
Tanai that this is
No, but I
like,
know. All he has to do is keep it for herself. That's what she has to do. She has to use it
by definition
on
she
her own.
can't. But by definition she can't.
No, she has to use it.
But then isn't she? But whose is it though? The question is, whose is it? Why isn't it his?
And when she uses it, it becomes hers. But until she hasn't used it,
Kol ma shakana isha kana bala.
So what if it belonged to the husband, but she can't own anything, but he has the restriction that he can only use it for her. So it's like a trust. He's formal.
Right.
But then it's not in her possession. It's not in her possession.
He would want
That's not good enough. It won't be good enough for our sugya, right?
She has beneficial ownership and
We
he has
need-
legal
we need-
title.
because he would be willing
Okay.
to mavater on the ownership if she could keep it. So carrying on from what
Does he have an option like that?
yes, because he would rather she has it than she didn't have it. Therefore, he can do a
He doesn't.
he can
mochel.
mocha, that's what I'm looking for.
Anything else? What if he doesn't know about it?
Well, he would.
What if he doesn't?
No, but even
Why
if he
would he?
doesn't,
Why do you assume he would?
because he would rather she had it and she
No, but hold on.
didn't
The
have
father gives the money to his daughter because he doesn't like the husband.
it. Yeah,
She's not going to tell him about it.
Yeah.
agreed. But
So he didn't have a chance to be mevater.
he would mavater if he didn't know about
So
it.
we're is it like Zakin Adam Shalom, like we're doing it on his behalf?
Yes.
All right. I think that's
My father
unlikely.
bought it for me.
Okay.
It doesn't sound. I mean, it seems strange that it would work with his consent when he doesn't know about it. Meaning, if you're relying, I understand what you're saying. You're saying
ask another
he can be
way.
mochel, so let him be mochel. Fine, he can be mochel, but he's not. I think it would work if he knew about it, but
Okay.
he doesn't. So how could it work? All right. So here there are two answers. First answer is given by that Nimulin. Says Kol zman shelo nodu lebal lo zacha adayin. As long as he doesn't know about it, he can't have it. That's the first thing. V'im kain kadma zechiyat ha'isha v'chayal t'na'eh v'tu lo matzi ba'al l'mitzke b'yad isha. He says almost the opposite of what you're saying, Asher. He's saying the principle of kol ma shekanta isha kana ba'ala, he becomes aware of the thing that she acquired. And since it's given to her first, and there's a t'nai that he can't have it, she immediately acquires it.
Why, even without the tonight, just as long as he doesn't know about it, it's hers. Why
So
he
it
doesn't
does
know?
sound like he's saying that she actually acquires it first before he gets it. I agree with you. So he says, "V'ainu davka lefli ma dekayim l'karabanan do'emeh." Okay, that we're not going to go into.
I don't
Because,
understand. That's written in the Ketubah. It's written before they get married.
right?
Everything that belongs to the wife belongs to the husband. That's
Right.
the Tnai at the Ketubah.
Yes.
No, so you don't have to know about it for that. That's the Tnai. Anything that you get belongs to the husband.
It sounds like the Avnei Bilim is suggesting that in principle he could only acquire things that he knows about. And since she owned it but you know what, even leave that alone. I think there's a simple way of saying, I'm not sure he had to phrase it this way. I would have phrased it in a different way. I would have said, similar to what Rashi said, some things supersede other things. Why do we assume that the principle of Kol Mashakanta Isha Kanabala overrides the Tanai that this guy is making? He made the Tanai first, so to speak, in this case, right? Before he gave the gift, he made the Tanai, I want it to go to you. Now it can't go to the husband. It's true that the husband has a lien, so to speak, on her stuff, but this sits outside of that lien because there's a Tanai on it. Why is the Tanai not stronger? It should be. Maybe it is stronger. That seems to be what the Avnei Milan is suggesting.
Can I throw in something? You also mentioned, used the mashal like it's her father giving it to her. There's a different inyan here. It is her dad. There is kibbud.
I made that up.
Okay, you made that up. I mean, that in one case. So it's the next door neighbor.
Yeah,
I
I made that up.
I don't know. The guy down the street. I don't know. It's still a little weird for me, but okay. Dodgy. But like, wouldn't a parent be somewhat of a different level?
No, maybe, but that's not the case over here. This is, it could be the employer
I
feels
think
bad
it
for.
can only work if there's a tie on the use. Because you can give somebody something tonight that they use it for, whatever, right? So
No,
it's not that the husband
use it for yourself.
Really,
Tonight
husband
you
really
use it for
requires it, but the use can only be for her. So then it's like she can only get benefit from it, but he actually owns it.
You're saying that the only thing that the Tanai actually accomplishes is that it keeps it makes sure that she gets to use it, but it doesn't actually belong to her.
Exactly.
Okay, it doesn't seem to be what the Yad Ramah is saying,
No.
although you could fit that into the language of the Shulchan Aruch. That's not what the Yad Ramah is saying. He's very clear. Now, the second answer is very interesting from the Birchas Avraham. This is Rav Erlinger, who's alive now. David, he lives in Yerushalayim. He teaches in Yerushalayim, Shiva. Rav Erlinger, we quote him very, very often. So he says, "Nira de yesh lavar deschut ha'adon v'habal eino elo laharvicham v'lo lahavsid labal dinu leisha." So he's suggesting that the idea of Kol Mashakanta Isha Kanabala is not really something that you find in the Ketubah, Yoel. At least that's not where power come from. It's Exeret Katuv. God said that we're going to give the ability to the husband to acquire things, or even if you say that it is, you know what, we can even say it's not Exeret Katuv. The principle behind it, though, is that the husband should acquire what the wife acquires because it's going to be good for him, right? So to make things better for him because that's a good deal for him to make. He agrees to the deal to take care of her because he knows that he's going to get stuff, right? But, Erlanger says, here's the chiddush. It's actually very, very reasonable. He says, look, at the end of the day, I give the money to the woman and I tell the woman, it's only for you. I am not giving it to you to give to your husband. Now what? If we want to say that, okay, it goes immediately to her husband, then guess what? Now Rashi's question kicks in. What happens if I give you money and I say, don't give it to Pinchas, and then you go ahead and you give it to Pinchas? What happens now?
It's a violation of the.
And what happens to the money?
Goes back to you.
Goes back to me. What happens if I give the money to the woman and then she goes and gives it to her husband? Or if her husband acquires it, what happens to the money? It goes back to me. In other words, the husband's never going to touch this money. If the husband's never going to touch this money, then maybe Kol Mashakanta Isha Kanabala doesn't apply. Because the whole purpose of that is to get the husband money, but he's not going to get it anyways. The purpose of it isn't to deprive her. The purpose is to give him more stuff, but he's never going to get this stuff. So by reverse proxy, almost, it works. And it's not even negative Torah. And therefore, the Tanai will work. It's not a Tanai against the rules of the Torah. This will work for the Adon, it'll work for the husband, and it'll work for everything. Since he's never going to touch it, it's not part of their deal. And it's as if to say that we were kind of envisioning that the woman cannot acquire anything. But that's not true, and it's not what Rashi said, and it's not what Kol Mashakanta Isha Kanabala means. What it means is that after she acquires it, things go to her husband. But in this case, it can't go to her husband. So after she acquires it, what happens to it? It stays with her. That's all that happens. It's not like she's this black hole that just everything drops straight through her into her husband. No, she gets stuff and then she hands it over. But since she can't hand it over, she gets to keep it.
It gets stuck.
Yeah. And that could be the case where the Ben Soher Umoreh is able to steal from his money.
Very nice.
Okay. Now we go on to the next Mishnah.
In other words, you've got to be pretty unlucky to be a Ben Torah.
Oh, that's the upshot of all these Gemaras.
It's going to be very, very well.
It's pretty hard to get there.
Pretty hard.
Therefore, you deserve.
And we'll see, Elad, we'll see exactly how hard it is. We'll see exactly how hard it is right now.
It's the purpose of it.
Mishnah.
Make it happen.
Masnisin says, Haya aviv rotzeh v'imo eino rotzeh. Aviv eino rotzeh v'imo rotzeh. Eino nasa ben tzora mora. At the end of the day, part of the process of a ben tzora mora is that after he does all this stealing and everything, and after he's been warned to stop, at the end of the day, the father and the mother have to take him to Beit Din. And they have to say, B'nenu zeh, sorer moreh, einenu shomea, kol aviv v'chol imav. This is our son, he's a ben tzora mora, he's not listening to us. Right? So the Mishnah says it has to be both of them.
Both parents.
Both parents have to be willing to bring him. If it's only the mother and the father doesn't want, or if it's only the father and the mother doesn't want, he can't be a ben tzora mora. It has to be a joint decision. Achi Shneim Rotzin.
Just to go back, this, so he's been doing it for 2 months? Maximum of 2 months?
Yeah, or a month. I mean, or once.
And the
He may have
parents
done it. He may have done it
decide-
once.
The parents have decided to kill him after he's been doing this for a month?
They may have seen seeds of this beforehand, or he did it once and then he did it again. He's been warned. He's been lashed, and he keeps doing it. That's the idea. Yeah. It's
For a month.
so take good. You'll be happy to how the way this goes. Okay. So Achi Yishneim Rotzim until they both want it. Rabbi Yehuda Merim Lo Hayta Imo Ru'uya LaAviv Einu Nasa Ben Tzora Mora. Rabbi, this is a strange thing. It says if the woman is not mat'im for the man, then he can't be a ben tzora mora. What does that mean? This is Eina Ru'uya. What does that mean?
They each give him different chinuch or something, no? It's,
Maybe.
Is it talking about the relationship between the man and the wife themselves, or there's some sort
From the
of
Mishnah, I don't know. I don't know what it means from the Mishnah. Eina Ru'uya LaAviv. What does that mean? So jump into the Gemara. Gemara says, "My Eina Ru'uya." First thing to know, what does that mean? So, ilema, maybe you'll say halachically Eina Ru'uya. Chayav kritot v'chayav mitot beitin. Maybe they're not supposed to be married. Eina Ru'uya means that that's his sister, or it's someone else's wife, or someone else's wife, or it's his aunt, right? Any of these cases, they're not supposed to be married. So maybe that's why. So the Gemara says, interestingly, sof avua ninu, v'ime ninu. Look, biologically, he's still the child. So I think it's an interesting thing that the Gemara says this, because I'll be honest. I think that was a good answer. I think you could have read the Mishnah that way, and you would have said, no, apparently that's the rule. It's as good of an answer as anything. But the Gemara doesn't accept it. It says, no, the point over here is that he's still biologically the child. It's irrelevant that they're not supposed to be married. So I would have said the fact that they're not supposed to be married, because the Torah says they're not supposed to be married, is cause for him not to be a ben tzora mora. I mean, what's the whole idea over here? For example, it says that both the mother and the father have to be willing to bring him to the Beit Din, right? Why? What's the philosophical reason behind that?
they've all gone to the
One of them is possible.
and he's still not.
So if one of them wants to and one of them doesn't want
Circumstances
to.
are all right, everything's right, and it's just simply not happened.
Okay. Interesting. Mark, say that again.
All the circumstances, the kid has a
Proper home.
a proper home, everything's right, but it's still not happened. He's still,
Okay.
he's still.
And if one parent wanted to bring him and another parent did not want to bring him, then that's not a good home.
No, that could still be a good home.
So then what's the
So
problem? What's the problem when one? Why is it not a ben tzora mora when one wants to bring him and one doesn't?
There's doubt. They're not sure that he's going to be a ben
So
tzora
why does
mora.
that matter?
Because you want to have, if you're judging about how he's going to be, you want to have a higher element of certainty that he's heading that way.
Oh, we're trusting the parents. We think that they're the arbiters of whether or not the child should be a ben tzora mora. I
Yes.
thought that was the base of
Well,
the job.
based on what the parents have said.
Okay,
Well, the parents have to bring.
I hear you. I would have said something different. I would have
It's
said,
more difficult, the parents, because the parents are going to be far less critical of their
That's right.
child.
And if they're both
that's
brought
good.
forward, how much more so
They're
than
still prepared to, both of them come.
good. That's what I would have said. I would have said as long as one parent is still. I would have said more though. I would have said as long as one parent is still not willing to do it, we have some hope for the child. That's what I
Yes.
would have said. I would have said if both parents have given up on him, then this is.
I
the end.
think
If
it's-
one of them is still, then there's a chance.
I think it's moving in the direction of what you all said, that we want to establish that this child was, and Mark also, a good upbringing. If the parents are fighting, one has this view, one has that view, and they're not
Then
going
what?
for each other, Then it's their fault, it's not the kid's fault. I mean,
So I want to revisit that.
Sponsors.
Yeah, so I want to revisit that and echo Usher, but I want to wait because I want to see where this goes. So the Gemara says, "My ina ruya ile mechayev v'kritat v'chayev v'kritat beitin sof sof avua ninu v'ime ime ninu." Okay, Ella b'shaveh la'aviv kamar. It means she's equal to her husband. What does that mean? So Tanya nami hachi. There's a brighter that confirms this. Rabbi Yehuda Omer im lo haita imo shaveh la'aviv b'kol u'b'mar'eh u'b'koma einu nasim b'tzorah moreh. If the wife is not as tall as her husband, has the same voice as her husband, looks the same as her husband, and all that stuff, then he's not a b'tzorah moreh. My timer. How do we know this? This is not asking why that's relevant. It's asking how we know it. Damar kra einenu shomea b'koleinu. Midukol b'inan shavin marav v'kol nabi b'in shanim. This is a very strange statement, right? It says we know that let's give one to the Gemara. Gemara wants to say that b'koleinu means that they have to have one voice. Okay, one voice. Therefore, it has to be an equal voice. But then it makes another step. It says, and also by the way, they have to be the same height and they have to look the same.
That's very weird.
Where does it get that from?
Relevant.
Where does it get from? Where does it get from?
I think it's metaphoric. It's like they've got one united way of bringing
I
up
was
kids.
just thinking that.
They
It's
sort-
a
they speak
metaphor.
as we say it, you speak with one voice.
The husband's got the same as the wife.
You've got the same
So,
the same kind of
so
same-
keep going on for 1 second though, just to make Mark. You said one thing that I thought was interesting. What did you say?
How can the husband look the same as the wife?
So you said it's impossible, right? That's what you said. So the Gemara says, "Keman azla." This is going to take us on after, but I want to read this first one. Keman azla. That means like who does it go? Keman azla had Tanya ben Tzorah more lo hayav lo atid lihiyot. According to whom is the following statement said? Ben Tzorah Umoreh never happened and never will happen. And therefore, if that's the case, why was it written in the Torah if it's never going to happen? Drosh v'kabel schar. Who said that? Kiman ki Rabbi Yehuda. It must be Rabbi Yehuda. Why? Because what did Rabbi Yehuda say? This. He said that they have to look exactly the same. So out of all the things that we noticed that are strange about the Ben Tzorah Umoreh, this is what apparently broke the straw that broke the camel's back. Completely impossible. Rabbi Yehuda is saying that they have to look exactly the same, they have to sound exactly the same, they have the same height. That can't happen. Rabbi Yehuda must be the author of the statement that Ben Tzorah Umoreh never happened. There's another one. Ibait Ema, or maybe you want to say Rabbi Shimon. The Tanya Amar Rabbi Shimon v'chimei shachal zet tartema batzer v'shat achatzi log yain haitalki avi v'ima matzino tolasaklo. This is what Yoel said. What you think that just because he ate a little meat and drank a little wine, the parents are going to bring him to skila? What kind of parents are these? Ela lo hayav lo atid liyot v'lam nichtov drosh v'kabel schar. So it's either Rabbi Yehuda because what he says is crazy, or it's Rabbi Shimon because he finds the whole idea incredible that they would actually do this for that. Now, just to finish off over here for this part, Amar Rabbi Yonatan ani re'itif v'yashavti al kivro. Rabbi Yonatan jumps in and says, actually, it has happened, and I sat on the kever of that Ben Tzorah Umoreh. I'm not going to have time to. I didn't put any of this on the sheet, so I'll just quickly say it outside. There's a problem with Rabbi Yonatan's statement. Two problems, actually. What did he say? He said, I saw him and I sat on his kever. One problem you could probably guess.
Was it Cohen?
He was a Kohen. So Rabbi Yonatan was a Kohen, so he shouldn't be sitting on any kever. But the second problem is nobody should be sitting on anybody's kever. You're not allowed to a dead body, and the kever is included in that. So sitting on it is a no-no. You're not supposed to sit on it or anything like that. And so he has no business doing this. So the Rishonim generally just say that he was being metaphorical, that he was just, he was saying that I saw it and I was right there. Now, you know what? Let's keep going so we get to the end of the Gemara and then we'll get to the sources.
Okay, even though he say he shouldn't be sitting on a grave, he saw one.
Yeah, he said he saw one. He also said he sat on the grave, but he at least saw one. Now, the next part of the Gemara, because this is a well-known Gemara. These are the three things, right? We've seen the first of the three things that supposedly never happened, if not for Rabbi Yonatan. Okay, next one. Keman Azla, who said Hadatanya Irani Dachad lo hetav lo atid liyot ulam nechtava Josh v'kabel schar. Second one, Irani Dachad. What's in Irani Dachad?
Everyone's
The whole city's involved over Zarah, and you have to raise it to the ground. The men, the women, the children, all the money, all the houses, everything has to be burned to the ground. So it never happened, never will happen. Apparently it's written to George V'Kabbaschar. Don't worry, we're gonna find out what that means. Kiman, who said that? Meaning, why is it impossible for the Irani Dachat to happen? We can imagine it happening. Kiman, Rabbi Eliezer, technical reasons. The Tanya Rabbi Eliezer Omer Kol Ir Sheyesh Ba'afilu Mezuzah Achat Eina Naset Irani Dachat. If a city has even a single mezuzah, then it can't become an Irani Dachat. My taima Amerkra Vet Kol Shlala Tikbots El Toch Rechava V'Sarafta Ba'esh. The cave in the Ika mezuzah Lo Efshar Dechtiv Lo Tasun Kein Lashem Elokechem won't happen. In other words, any city that has a mezuzah cannot be burned. And since it's inconceivable that there's going to be an entire Jewish city with no mezuzah, Rabbi Eliezer concludes, Lo haya v'lo nivra, v'lo atid lihiyot. Who chimes in?
Has to be a Jewish city.
Yeah. Who chimes in? Exactly who would expect to. Amar Rabbi Yonatan, ani ritia, v'yashavti al tila. I saw it, and I sat on the sign. That, tila is...
It's
It's on the hill, on the mound, like the leftover, it's rubble. I sat on the rubble. That's the second one. Kaman Azla Tanya Beit Menuga Lo Ayav Lo Atid Liot. Beit Menuga? Sarat, only in Eretz Israel, and you get to the point where where the Lashon Hara causes your house to have nega. Lo Atid Lo Lam Nechtav George Kabbaschar. Kaman Rabbi Elazar ben Rabbi Shimon Detnan. Rabbi Elazar ben Rabbi Shimon Omer. Lo in bayit tame ad sheyireh kishtei grisin al shtei avanim b'shtei ktalim b'keren zavit, or ko kishtei grisin v'rachbo kegris. It won't ever be a bayit menuga unless you have the ketem, the nega rather, should be 2 by 1, I think, or it ends up being 2 by 1 in a corner. Okay, so it has to go across the corner and be 2 by 1. And the Rishonim just say that's it. That it's just unlikely that will ever happen. Okay, and I'm not, a negaologist, but apparently that is never going to happen. Now, how does he know that that's the only condition where it's going to be burnt to the ground, where it's going to be destroyed, rather? Where you have a Beit Menuga? So he says, because look at the Torah, it says, "My time Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Shimon, ktiv kir uchtiv kirot. Ezu kir shu kirot." It says kir, but then it says kirot. How can you have a kir that's also kirot? Answer: it's a corner. So one wall, which is 2 walls, where it meets. Aviomer is a Karen Zavit. The Tanya on Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Tzadok, Makom Haya Betchum Aza. So Rabbi Elazar, this time it's not Rabbi Yonatan, but it's Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Tzadok, who says there was actually a place in Aza. Vayikorin Oto Churvata Skirata. That was an indication that it was a Beit HaMenuga. Am Rabbi Shimon Ish Kfar Akko Pamachat Alachti Legalil V'Neriti Makom Shemitzayin Oto V'Amru Avanim Menugaot Pinusham. Right. So these 2 Amoraim who said that they actually saw it. So you have these 3 events that the Torah describes, 3 mitzvot, and it says they never happened and they never will happen, and the only reason they exist is Drosh V'Kabbaschar. All right, let's dive in. Take a look at the sources. We will start with the Chidushi Agadot L'Maharal on L'Haita Imo.
Everyone have it?
So he says, what's the deal? What is this about? He says, Perish Davar Zeh, Machanatan Hashem Yitbarach B'Torah Mitzvat Tzar Umoreh Shehu Sar Min HaDerech Yashar. The idea is that he goes off the path. V'tzarich, now here's the rub, right? Tzarich Sheyeh, Shelo Yeh, right? Tzarich Sheyeh, Lo Yeh. Hasiba leza aviv v'imo. It has to be that the parents are involved or not involved. The kasher ein aviv v'imo shavim b'kol. So here it should be clear from the context. Kasher ein aviv v'imo shavim b'kol. When they're not equal, what happens? Im kein ein zivug shalahem zivug shaveh gamur ki hazivug hashaveh tzrichim shiyu domim b'shavim. It's not a proper partnership because they're not equal. V'lakach צריכים שיהם שווים בכל ומעלה בקומה, כי הקומה נראה שהם שווים בגוף, שהקומה לגוף והכל שממנו הדיבור שעל ידו האדם נפש חיה, והמראה הוא צלם האדם. I put this on here just to show you how the Maharal would deal with this. It's a metaphysical approach. ואם כן, כאשר אין הזיווג זיווג שווה, אם הבן שם מן הדרך השווה, What does it mean if they are equal and he still pulls away? What does it mean? It means that the zivug itself is the problem. You see? If they are physically the same, and the boy still comes out wrong, if everything is correct, right? If everything is proper, and the boy still comes out wrong, that means that he shouldn't be here, right? The zivug is fundamentally messed up, and therefore, maybe sheyeh ben sorah umoreh lekach eino nidon beben sorah umoreh. No, I'm confused. I see. It means it's not his fault. It means it's not his fault. So hold on. So let's just follow the Maharal. Yeah, I know. It's very confusing. So let's follow the Maharal. He's suggesting that kasher ein zivug shaveh, im ben sar min haderech hashaveh, hasiba lazeh aviv v'imo.
Aviv v'imo
Shalom nolad. Asher zivug eino shaveh. It's their fault because it's not shaveh. And that's what caused him to be ben sorah umoreh. Okay, good. The Maharal is saying is that when they are unequal, then it's not his fault, it's their fault. Okay? Which, who said? It's not his fault. A couple of you said, right? Yeah. And Usher, you had a problem with that, right?
Yeah.
So good. So the Maharal is saying it's no good when they're not equal because then it's not his fault that he's bad. But Usher is going to point out that
It's irrelevant.
Why is it irrelevant?
We're not questioning the fault, we're doubting his progression.
Exactly. What we're worried about is, doesn't matter why, the point is that he's going to end up being a bandit and a robber and a murderer.
Yeah, it's not a punishment.
Yeah.
It's a progression.
So does anybody remember the previous share where we talked about whether it was a punishment or not? Right? I think we came to one conclusion that said it is a punishment, but the nature of the punishment takes into account the future. So in other words, he has to be punishable. Maybe that's what Maharal is saying. He has to be punishable in order for us to get off the ground. We can't just go around killing people. People are going to write that. They have to at least be somewhat liable for who they are.
Right, there was a pre-post.
Yeah.
Or
So-
you can say that if you removed him from this situation, he wouldn't follow that same progression.
Right. Maybe there's hope for him. In other words, let's put him somewhere else, and maybe he won't turn out so bad. Maybe it's the parents' fault that he's like this. Once he gets out of the home, then he'll work out okay. That's possible. Now, what's the idea of them being equal? So the Maharal says they're like physically equal, and that's an indication of whether of the fact that they are supposed to be together. All right, fine. Maharsha gives a totally different. Look at the Maharsha.
But what does that mean physically?
I can't say. I don't know whether it means they have to be identical. I don't know if it means they have to be identical. I don't know if it means they have to be identical. I guess it means they have to look similar. Don't know. I can't say. But the Maharsha will help us a little bit with it. The Maharsha will help us a little bit, but why would it look the same? So he says, Heichi mashma, meinenu shomeh b'kolenu, meheichan balomar, midikol beinan shava, mara v'kom benami. This is our other question. Fine, the Gemara proves from the pasuk that they have to have the same voice. Does that lead us to saying that they have to have the same height and the same appearance? How does that follow? Second of all, Rabbi Shimon dekamar b'veichi mipnei hu tamua lechori meinu roi lisakel lama katva Torah shu ra'ui v'lo shayach b'zeh drosh. Also, what's Rabbi Shimon talking about? The parents are just following what the Torah said to do. The Torah said to bring them to the Beis Din. So that's why the parents are going to do that. Okay, fine. V'nireh, ki haben sorer af shehochichu oto aviv v'imo kama pa'amim. What happened? You think that the parents never said anything? They did. They tried to get the boy to change. They gave him tochacha, but it didn't work. So they rebuked him many times. They will rebuke him. Aviv v'imo, and he doesn't listen. Amar ki me'olam lo hochichu otan shnehem ela aviv. What will he say? He'll say in his own defense, Ma'olam lo hochichu oto shnehem ela aviv o imo. V'omer ilu hochichu shnehem היה מקבל תוכחתם. ואם כן, על כורך ושכל שניהם שווה שיכול לומר שהיה סבור בכל התוכחות שלא היו רק מאחד מהם או מאביו או מאמו. ואם כן, על כורך דמר וכל מנמי שווה, אם לא כן אף שכל אין שווה, הכתי לא יכול לומר דאחד מהם היה כיוון שמראין או קומתן אין השווה, זהו דבר שאפשר שיהיו שווה בכל דבר ולא היה ולא עתיד there. So what does he say? He says, let's think for a second. What happens? The boy is going to be brought to Beit Din, right? And he's going to say, they never gave me rebuke. Mi'olam lo hochicho oti shnehem, ela aviv o imo. It was either my mother or my father. And he'll say, if they would have both given me rebuke, then I would have accepted it, or will say for him, that if they would have both given him rebuke.
At the same time.
Or at least if he knew that they were both giving him rebuke. The problem over here, though, is that because they have the same voice, every time one of them talks, he doesn't know which one it is.
Especially because they look alike.
Sounds like both of them. And because they look, that's his point. They have to also, in order for this to work, they have to both look alike and have the same height. So in other words, he's kind of like, it's like Charlie Brown, like, but they both sound like that, and they both look like that because he can't see them right. Right?
But he's flipped it again. He's saying that he's saying that if they do look and sound the same, then it doesn't work. Whereas Rabbi Yehuda who said that it only works if they look and sound the same.
No, he's saying at the end of the day, though, because we're going to require that they literally look and sound the same, it's never going to happen. Why is it important that they look and sound the same? In order for the boy to be able to say this.
No, but if they look and sound the same,
we're saying that if they do sound the same,
then you can't distinguish.
That's the boy's get out. But we're saying no, that shouldn't be the get out. We're saying that Ben Solomon only applies when they have an equal voice, equal physical appearance, etc.
He's flipped it. I think you have a pretty good, if they did look and sound exactly the same, I think you'd have a pretty good get out right there. Mess up kids. Imagine. What do you want from me? Come home.
He'd have to look the same.
What chance did I have? Can't be bad.
He'd have to look the same as well. Parents look the
You should see my little sister. She looks the same as well. Look at a horror story.
Probably go to make it himself and has to be.
Yeah. All I could do was run away and steal my bread and meat. Poor kid.
You can't look for a stone from mine, but I could have stolen from him one from her.
Simply one wearing trousers and one wearing trousers.
No, the point is the opposite. If they didn't look the same, then he always has to get a jail-free card. That's my point. Because he can always say, hold on 1 second.
He has a get out. Because he can say, look, they're unequal.
No, but that's not what the Maharsha
He's
said.
saying the get out is that you can never say they're both called
Yeah, I remember being
because I
confused
didn't
by
know
this.
which one was which because they were
Yeah.
the same voice. But it's good. You're only confused if they were the same voice.
Spoke.
Isn't this all
Maybe they
metaphorical?
both spoke. He only
So the
heard
Maharsha
one
doesn't
voice,
see it as
he
metaphorical.
knew, but
There is a way to see it as
Similar.
metaphorical.
Yeah, but basically
you
one
hear
doesn't.
one voice, and
But
they both speak.
The voice can be
If
like
they're both
excuses
equal
that
with
they
the right
didn't know who was
to
talking to.
have their own thoughts, then you could say
Right.
one was intimidating the other one, or one was able to pressure the other one, and therefore it wasn't the two of them together. That would make sense.
Right. That's how I thought of it as well. And that's a very common. That's the most common approach, really. When looking at the Gemara, is to see it as metaphorical. If they don't have the same voice, if you don't feel like they're both talking to you and giving you over the same values, then no wonder he turned out that way. It has to be that, like we said, all the conditions are correct, such that. Although I think there's an alternative to that. I think the opposite is also true. How can opposites both be true? But if they're both always giving over the same thing, then you kind of get the feeling that like he doesn't have. Sometimes it's best when there's a good cop and a bad cop parent, and when both parents are one or the other, then you don't have a balance, right? So in a way, if we wanted to go actually along the other lines, that what we're concerned with here is whether or not the boy is actually going to turn into a Ben or Umoreh, then the fact that the parents have the same voice could actually be a problem. Right? And would actually cause him to become a Ben or Umoreh. I'm just suggesting that if you have a situation where the parents are always saying the exact same thing to the boy, and he doesn't feel like either one is ever on his side or anybody's ever defending him or anything like that, then
That's the dissenting voice in the Beit Din.
exactly. You have to always have one parent getting angry and then the other parent calmly. If they're both angry all the time or they're both calm all the time, just but that's assuming the other way. That's assuming that we're trying to make sure he doesn't become a Ben Sar or Umoreh. We're not trying to find excuses for him. It's very confusing, Marsha. I agree with you. I remember having trouble with it the first time around. But that's the Marsha. We do have to read the second half though. Right, so this is the part where Rabbi Shimon says, what's going on? Why would the parents bring him to Beit Din? Right? So take a look what he says. Rabbi Shimon dekama v'chimim neisha achal v'chulei. Devadi l'dad Rabbi Shimon HaTorah chiva alav mita she'giya Torah l'sof dam. What's the idea? Obviously the point is that the Torah knows what's going to happen with the boy. And so that's why they should bring him to Beit Din. So why are you asking why they were bringing him to Beit Din? The Torah said so. Ella, the Ka'amar da'aviv v'imo v'andei de lo yotziu oto b'shvil zeh l'skila shehem v'andei lo yagiu l'sof da'ato v'yamu shesofa lachzor midrachav hara'im v'yu chasim alav. The Torah knows that the father and the mother will not bring him to Beit Din, right? Because they're definitely going to have Rachmanas on him. They're not, no father and mother will bring him to Beit Din. And that's exactly what Rabbi Shimon says that it's not going to happen. And they'll never fulfill this. Now, take a pause for a second. What did the Gemara say? It says, what does Josh V'Kabel mean? What do you think it means?
We'll get
Another mitzvah, right? Another mitzvah. Take a look at the Marsha says it means. Y'all, what does the Marsha say it means? Read. Read.
ולמה נכתב?
Yeah.
אלא דרוש שאביו ואמו ידרשו שהתורה הגיעה לסוף דעתו, וכזה הוא ראוי להסתכל. על ידי זה יבריחו ויישאו את בניהם ויקבלו על זה שכר.
Who's drosh v'kabel schar?
The parents.
The parents. The Torah is telling parents, be careful with this one. Be careful. He's showing indications that bad things are going to happen. We tell you, Al Pi Din, you should take him to Beit Din. But if you're not going to take him to Beit Din, at the very least, make some changes. Something needs to be done. Drosh v'kabel schar. Who's it talking to? The parents, not us. Us too, but parents. I think my bracha is that women get a reward for sending their children to Talmud Torah and for sending their husbands to the Beit Midrash. That it's up to the parents to educate the children. It's a really creative way of reading the Gemara. It doesn't work with the rest of the Drosh v'Kabel schars, but it works very well over here. But look at the last line, the very last line. This is the money one. Aval, this is when the Marsha lived, I don't know, 400 years ago, I guess, something like that. Of Shimon idols. This is 400 years ago, okay? Aval b'zman hazeh, ein notnim leiv lazeh, b'chol echad v'chapel b'no, av shu be'emet chayav malkut mitat beitin. Ein mochikin otan, v'narim holchem rov yomein b'vidl Talmud Torah, v'aminim per kol kitvei lochar b'Yushalayim, el b'shur shebidlo bo tinokot shebeit rabo. He's standing on the lawn. Get off my lawn, right? This is 400 years ago. They were talking about parents being too easy on the kids. When I was a boy, unbelievable. 400, unbelievable.
They call it curling parents. You know, the curling is a sport.
To throw.
Ice.
The thing with the-
Yeah,
The bird.
That's they call it curling parents. They make every effort.
Oh, right.
Be appeased. Yeah.
So I think that's amazing lines. Marsha. And he's saying, you're all raising a bunch of kids that are all Chayav Misa. What would he say about 2000,
I mean, look, if you think about it,
2019? I don't know.
Rabbi, I've been waiting for this explanation for a while. I don't know if I heard it, but maybe the parents, if they brought him to Beit Din, maybe just shake him up.
For sure. Well, they do actually. The truth is that the process of a Ben Sar Umoreh is they actually bring him once, he gets
Good.
and then if he continues, that's when the skila happens.
I think reading this much, I think it's completely different now. I think that if you have parents who can have lost such hope in their kid that they're going to bring him to the bait him to be killed, I think there's something wrong with the parents.
Sure. But he's
I
not
think
saying
it's,
that. He's
No,
saying,
no, I don't think
No,
they
no,
need
he's
to
not
get
saying it's not going to happen.
killed.
Rishon says it's not going to happen.
He's not saying
Rabbi
that.
Shimon
don't
says it's
think
not going to
there's-
He's not
happen.
saying it, but I'm
No, I
thinking now, Ben
disagree.
Surim, if that actually happened and the parents brought a 13-and-a-half-year-old kid to the bait to be killed,
And there really is no hope for him.
they think there's no hope for him, but I think they're as much to blame if they've lost hope in their kid. I mean,
Yeah, but that's not Mashak. It tells
You're
them
going
what
to
to
many
do
different,
before in order not
yeah,
to get to
yeah, but
such a
I think
point.
it's
But the
different,
reason that we do it though is to
discussions.
prevent what he's going to.
I don't know,
Right,
I'm saying,
sure.
but I think it's as bad a reflection on the parents as the just
Maybe,
the child.
although we all know it's not always the parents' fault. Not always the parents'
But, I mean,
fault.
to get to a
He's
point
13. He's 13.
But
where
Rosh
you bring
Hashanah-
your kid
No,
to
no,
that vote, then, I mean,
You're right.
unless you've
Yeah.
been driven mad by the fact that your wife sounds the same as you, then
Oh, it looks like
Yeah,
it.
it looks like.
So, but in the end, the Maharsha is saying
my
he
God,
wants
that'll
to
do
bring
it.
back Ben Soromora. He was saying that we should.
First cousin, this is what
He's saying
happens.
because he's saying no, we can't. But he's saying, look, we're raising a bunch of kids that obviously he's obviously being he's magzine, but I can't find the English word for magzine.
You're exaggerating.
He's exaggerating.
That's what I'm looking for. He's obviously exaggerating, but I think his point is well made. And I think it's just hysterical that this is, from hundreds of years ago. Could have been written yesterday.
People don't change.
It was written yesterday.
No, it's much better today.
Anyways, here's another approach. This is a totally mystical approach. This is pretty cool though. The Torah Chaim. Look at what he says. He says, we don't understand it, but then he says with the Zohar, okay? What does the Zohar have to say about Ben Umoreh? Parshas Kitei Tza'ita v'tafsu bo aviv v'imo, Tanyanan the Bahai Shata the Amar Kuchabricha the Moshe. Amar Moshe Mari the Alma it Abba the Avid Kedin the Brei. Bahai Shata Ramaz Le'Liyofi. In other words, this is a conversation between Moshe and God. Amali Ravna the Raita Amar Moshe Ana the Rishna Lahai Pashata Kiyah Ish Da Kadosh Baruch Hu. The pasuk starts with Kiyah Ish Ben Umoreh. Who's the Ish? God. God is the Ish. Tichtiv Hashem Ish Milchama. Ben the Yisrael. Who's the Ben? That's the Jews. Umoreh Tichtiv Ki Kapra Sarar Yisrael. They're so rare. Eineno Shomea B'Kol Aviv U'B'Kol Imo. Knesset Yisrael. Knesset Yisrael is the spiritual entity of Klal Yisrael, which is connected to God. Okay, basically, bottom line over here is that it's seen as a metaphor for God's relationship with Bnei Israel, who are always rebelling. And what's interesting, he says, the whole Gemara that says that it has to be the same, the mother and the father. So he says that's because God is really all one. And so, of course, it's identical. That's what it means. It's identical. Just a nice idea. I don't know how nice it is, but it's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
Now,
Getting back to the Josh V'Kabel Schar business. Okay, so Maharsha notwithstanding, it does seem to be talking to us, right? And the idea would be something along the lines of, look, it won't ever happen, but you learn another. So you get more mitzvot, you get more Talmud Torah by learning another sugya. What's our problem with that? Any problem with that? Or is it fine?
There's lots of practical Talmud Torah you can do.
רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות את ישראל, לפיכך בא להם תורה ומצוות. That's it.
Okay. So if we would have had 610,
Not good.
all right. Fine. So here's Rav Avram Erlinger. Rav Shechter has something very similar to this in his Ginat Egos. Here's Lichora im eino nogeh lamaaseh al ma mekabel schar. If it's not, it's because of Ram. That's fine. If it's not lamaisa, then what are you getting rewarded for? Uma erech hadrush. What's a game? Umizem mochichem ha'yisod. I know you already know the answer, but he says this is where it comes from. Shalimud Torah eino emtzai greda b'chdei leida malasot. Torah, learning Torah, is not just a hechi timtza, just a way, a mechanism for knowing what to do. Ela mitzvah b'fnei atzma, it's its own mitzvah. Shigam kol ma she'eino nogeh lamasa mikol makom torahi, v'chol teva mitzvahi, v'schar gadol mitzad etzem limud. Just the pure learning, that act of learning is itself a mitzvah, besides for knowing what to do. חוץ ממה שגם יש מצד דמייבי לידי מעשה, עין בית הלוי, על התורה פרשת משפטים. What he's referring to is the Beit HaLevi, who says that in the words Naaseh and Ishma are hidden two forms of Talmud Torah. There's a Talmud Torah which is done to know what to do, Naaseh, and then there's a Talmud Torah which is done just to know what, just to know the Torah, which is Nishma. They're both Nilmod. They're both Nilmod La'asod and Nilmod Lishma. Two forms of Talmud Torah that the
is impossible to fulfill, or the fact that
it will never happen. It's predicted that will never happen because it's unlikely. It's so statistically impossible.
Unlikely, but it's not
statistically impossible. Statistically, can't see it ever happening. Not physically impossible, obviously.
The fact that it's
totally
With all the
unlikely.
conditions that are put there.
Absolutely, incredibly unlikely, incredibly. But I mean, the fact that there is the remaining chance that it could potentially happen, that's a reason to learn halacha, right?
Okay, but it's acknowledged by the Gemara that it will never happen, so it seems strange.
But there's obviously value in the concept, whether it's practical or not.
Oh, good. So
That,
I understand what you're saying.
That's Rabbi Yonatan.
So
Yeah. Rabbi Yonatan.
In the same way that person hasn't got
100%. What do you mean by value, though?
For example, the person that hasn't got parents has still got a chiyuv to learn about kibbutz avim because there's value, even if you can't practice those mitzvahs, there's still a concept there which is worthwhile and important to
Okay,
your
good.
hadut.
So just to be very sharp, so what you're saying is the value is that there's some principle being taught by the
Yeah.
halacha, even if it can never happen in life, right? Similar to saying, like, look, we read a Gemara about oxes goring other oxes. I don't own any oxes. I'm never going to own any oxes. What's the point of learning this?
Like
The answer is
Ein
because
Tachadain.
you learn principles which will help you in other cases. So maybe we learn parenting principles based on the halachos of Ben Torah.
That's not what he's saying.
Like
No, it's not what he's
It's
saying.
Lishma-
Not in this paragraph. No.
Yeah.
like Ein Tachadain, which also
no, but those
it
cases
was
well,
explained
those
that it
do
was
have
money and it was only
very
said
common.
in order to show how serious and so on.
Oh, I see.
But even if it didn't happen, that's you're
Right.
living in a cave all your life where you don't have to learn any mitzvahs because you can never apply them, as in there's something obviously of value to them, whether you...
But you're still assuming that
implement them or
there was a
not.
place to apply it to, just not this specific halakha,
Yeah,
but you can learn from it something that you can apply later. But he seems to be saying, forget that. Forget that. Just the act of learning itself is worthwhile. Of course, what?
But why,
What about Rabbi Yonatan? Everybody neglects
Yeah.
it's just
This is within Joshua Kabbal's
why is it considered one of the mitzvahs?
Oh.
I agree that once
Good.
it is there, we have a...
Good. There is
Why
something
would-
strange here. In other words, that's very nice that you can get schar for learning the mitzvah. But if the mitzvah is never going to happen, then why does it exist? We didn't ask, why do we have to learn it? Seder, we have to learn it because it's in the Torah. God said there's a mitzvah. I understand. Once it's in the Torah, I get it. Why did God put it in the Torah if it's never going to happen? You can't tell me Joshua Kabbalah schar because then, okay, so then there should be a halacha about flying spaghetti monsters. Right? There should be such a halacha. It won't happen, but here's some more schar.
How did you come up with
As Richard Dawkins. Or it was Calvin and Hobbes. I forget which one. I think it's Richard Dawkins. I don't know. Anyways, the point is, if it's just arbitrary, then it shouldn't matter. Unless Asher is right and there's actually some kernel of truth, some kernel of something that you can take from it, even if it never happened, specifically like this, you can take something from it. Then I understand why it would be in the Torah, even if it will never happen. So take a look what he says. V'hinei agod of Yisrael Salant, Hikshasham, Haim ein dai b'shar chalkei Torah. He said, this is pretty much what he says. He says, what, we don't have enough Torah? Afim elef shanim yechia adam. Even if you live for 1,000 years, lidrosh b'hem l'kabel schar, you would find plenty to learn. ובתירוץ ממש שזה בשביל הלימוד הזה עצמו שנדע ללימוד תורה מצד עצמה מצווה בגדר חוק, גם כשלא נצטרך לעשייה. So he suggests that no, maybe it's it seems to be that he's assuming that it's just for the sake of the limud. אמנם צריך עיון. הסוגיה מובא גם ברייתא על עיר הנידחת. What about that one? What he was originally saying was that this halacha actually teaches the principle of Joshua Kabbalah schar. In other words, imagine that all we had was Ben Torah Umoreh. It was the only exception, and that would never happen. So what you would learn from Ben Torah Umoreh is that it's worth it to learn, even if you're not going to actually do anything. But he says, if that's what we're learning, then we don't need 3 of those. We only need 1. If the only principle we were learning from Ben Umoreh is Josh v'Kabel Schar, you only need one of those. We don't need three. So he says, why do we know the three? All right, this is where Schachter has in his Guinness Egos. This comes from the Balatanya as well. That the knowledge of Torah is actually the knowledge of God. The Ramban writes in his Hakdama to the Torah, that's Mduyak, because the Ramban writes in the beginning of his Hakdama in the Torah that the whole Torah itself is Shmos of Shakadosh Baruch Hu. It's the name of God. And every single letter that you learn in the Torah is actually learning God's name, okay, which is like learning God. And so even if we don't understand it, every single element of the Torah is part of God's body, so to speak. It's part of his essence. The Sefer Torah shechaser ba'ot achad psula, the Ramban says, we don't pass it that way. Ka'kol yachad shlemut achat. When I say we don't pass that, we don't not for all different, not all letters were created equal. But for the most part, what the Ramban is saying is that every single letter is essential because it's part of God's name. You take out a letter out of his name. How do you feel it when your name is spelled wrong? It's not your name, right? We should learn it because it's part of God's wisdom. Of course, you can get schar for doing things that are l'maseh. Obviously, there in the other realms of Torah, there's also the kiyum, but here there's just limud Torah for the sake of knowing God. And now he's going to say Asher's point. There's a lot you can learn from these parashiyot. Even if it doesn't come to a skila itself. The principle of Nidon al Shem Sofo, that such a concept can exist, Nidon al Shem Sofo, we should think about where actions lead. That's one of the lessons of Ben Torah Umoreh. Realize that don't just look at what happens right now. Look at what happens years in the future. And all the halachot about Ben Torah Umoreh, that he's only going to be a Ben Torah Umoreh if he has bad friends, if he has good friends, if he's eating with his good friends, that he's not a Ben Torah Umoreh. That tells you about the value of good friends. And if he's eating it as part of a Sudat mitzvah, at a Siyum, or at the Ibur Hashana, or something like that, then he can't be a Ben Torah Umoreh because it has such a great influence on him that he won't end up being a bandit. But these are just principles, these are conditions that God put. We can understand all of them, but some of them we can understand and we can learn from them. And also you can learn from Negayim and you can learn from Yarni Dachat. Get out of Lamasa. What does apply and what doesn't, even in the real world, even if this halacha doesn't show up. Yeah? Stop by him, but it's still going over here. It's live and it's running. Sometimes it reconnects. Sometimes it disconnects and reconnects, but right now it's connected. The Torah's Chaim is similar to the Birkas Abraham. We won't read it inside, but what's interesting is to prove his point, to prove the idea that there is this kind of theoretical Torah, that the Torah is not only practical. He points out the Gemara that I think I talked about it on Shavuos like 2 years in a row, I think. This Gemara is about how the angels wanted to keep the Torah. They didn't want Moshe to get the Torah, right? And Moshe's response to them was, look, do you need it? You have lo tirtzach, you have lo tignov, which on the one hand sounds like he's saying it's only relevant for Basar V'Dam. But on the other hand, what, the angels didn't know what it says in the Torah? He says they know. It's more ra'ui for us because we also need it to know what to do. But it seems to also, the angels also want it. And when Bnei Yisrael sin, the angels say, bring it back to us, God. We'll treat it properly. But if the angels can't do anything with it, then what's the point? Apparently there is a point. Apparently it is worth having, even if it's not actually, even in a cave. Margolios, Ayam, Reuben Margolios, deals with a different question. Deals with the question of why can't we burn a, says, you have a pasuk that says you're not allowed to burn a mezuzah, which is a lot assay, but we have an assay to burn down an Irani Dachat. So What's the problem? Asay, docha lo taseh. Well, we'll leave it there. You guys can look at the Magazine. He has like 4 different answers. Shkoyach.
Thank you for having us.
No.